Hey, One Piece fans, this is Chris Bolts coming in with an episode recap and review of this week's episode 1138. Thank you, Dad, Bonnie and Kuma's warm embrace. Now, before I do get into the content, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that good stuff really helps me out. And just as the title talks about, there is going to be a good warm embrace between Bonnie and Kuma. But before we get to that, we get a nice little recap of this awesome scene where Kuma gets ready to deliver that fateful punch to the face of Saturn. And this takes everybody by surprise because Kuma is from the slave race and Saturn is from the supposedly celestial dragon race. And I say supposedly, and the fact that he is supposed to be the upper echelon of humanity, and how dare this lowly slave slug him one to the face. Well, Saint Saturn was about to get ready to kill his daughter. What father would not step up to the plate to protect his daughter from being harmed by some stranger who wants to do harmful things to their daughter? Now, I don't think most men would allow that. And so we all commend Kuma for doing the right thing and stepping up and taking out Saturn in such a really damaging fashion, such that when he hit him, he went flying through buildings. And ultimately, he ended up in a pile of rubble. And we see a couple of the Navy guys sitting there surprised. He's one of the highest authorities of the world. And you got punched by a lowly slave. Well, yeah, again. What man will let another man beat his daughter, kill his daughter, right in front of him? I doubt that any man would allow such a thing to occur. And of course, I was wrong about the kill switch over in the prior review that I did for 1137. I was under the impression that Vegapunk had, instead of installing a self-destruct switch, he installed a program which would allow Kuma to override the commands within him. But that is not the case. In fact, as we see Bonnie sitting there crying, there was something else afoot. And we look at the responses of the surprised look right here on Vegapunk's face. And the reason why he has that surprised look on his face is because Kuma should not be able to do this. Even though he did not put a self-destruct switch into Kuma, Vegapunk did put in a kill switch, which would effectively have put Kuma into a vegetative state. However, that did not occur. He must have heard the cries of Bonnie and her travails and pain to come to this specific island for this specific reason, theorizes Dr. Vegapunk. And as we see, Kuma is getting closer and closer to coming down to console the crying baby. Originally, the Straw Hats and Dr. Vegapunk and Atlas were getting ready to go and grab Kuma, but Sanji had the better of his wits about him, and he said, wait a minute, let's just let this proceed and let this play out. And of course, Kuma kept walking towards Bonnie to go ahead and console her. And you see those nice big hands coming down, grabbing this little girl to pick her up, because once again, just like when Kuma was a child himself, Bonnie is only 12 years old right here, and she has been through so much. And there is nothing more important right here than a father's warm embrace. And so that's what this touching moment is about. You see, the minute he picked her up, she suddenly calmed down just a little bit, and he gave her one big happy hug. And that was really a really good touching moment right there. And for the next few minutes, we see that Bonnie is going to tell Kuma that she saw all of his memories from when he was a child, an infant, all the way up to the moment when he was getting ready to be put under the knife to be turned into a cyborg. So she was able to see her mother, Bonnie, was able to see Jenny as a child and see all the travails they had went through. And this is right here just to go back to what Dr. Vegapunk said, he did install a total shutdown switch, and he wasn't supposed to be able to override that. But, and we go back here, we see that Kuma getting ready to deliver that big punch again to the face of Saturn. Borsalino, or Kizaru, is talking with his nephew Sentomaru, and of course Borsalino said it's over because Kuma had made landfall and was able to go ahead and rescue his daughter. And again, the rest of this right here, we're just going through all the scenes of when Bonnie was a kid, or rather when going through Kuma's memories, and that Bonnie's recounting all these memories to Kuma and just telling me, thank you for loving me. Thank you for for allowing me to live. And Kuma himself thanks Bonnie for being alive. So these are some really good touching moments here that really bring to life everything that's been going on. And right here, we see that Bonnie says that you desperately protected me enough for both yourself and Mom. Thank you very much for doing such a thing. And pretty much that pretty much covers the entirety of the episode. But then we go right when we go past the half mark, we see that this big black lightning, similar to what happened when Saturn first made landfall, occurring, and that's just Saturn getting ready to jump up. You see this big giant spider jump up. He lands back down. You see that he's been hurt. Kuma really did major damage with that punch to him. Everyone was very surprised by that, but Saturn isn't, because the very first question that comes out of Saturn's mouth is, Dr. Vegapunk, was he able to go ahead and come back to life? And Dr. Vegapunk responds, I suppose it must look that way that I sabotaged this project. But we know earlier in the episode, Dr. Vegapunk said no, he followed the instructions to the letter and doesn't know why he was able to go ahead and he being Kuma was able to override his programming to go into Egghead Island and rescue Bonnie. But right here, Dr. Vegapunk says, I could say it was the power of love if you can believe it. That caused him to override that particular instruction. Vegapunk says, that's bullshit. He's basically saying it's bullshit and everything. And then we see the surprising thing right here. We see Dr. Vegapunk healing himself. All of his wounds, he's regenerating everything. We see how surprised Sanji is right there. How come his body is regenerating? And that's one of the key things that a lot of the higher ups within the Celestial Dragons, and not all Celestial Dragons have this power. We know that the Gorosei has this power. Pretty sure Emu has this power as well. And there's I think the Knights also have, the Celestial Knights also have the ability to regenerate. However, if we remember, Shanks, Redhead Shanks, is also a Celestial Dragon, yet he did not regenerate his arm. So there's a little bit of a mystery right there as to why Redhead Shanks was not able to regenerate his arm, but his twin brother. And this is some future casting and everything for all the anime people. The people in the manga, you probably already are aware of this, but this is some future casting for those of us with the anime. His twin brother, Figurlin Shamrock, is able to go ahead and regenerate. So there's a little bit of a mystery as to why Redhead Shanks is not able to do it. But let's go ahead and keep going right here. And now Saturn has just said, fuck all you guys. I have no more use for any of you people. He has no more use for the Buccaneers. He has no more use for the pirates, no more use for the Navy, no more use for Egghead Island, no more use for anybody on this island whatsoever. And so he gets ready to attack Kuma, but we see that Sanji gets ready to jump into action. He kicks that leg away. Don't make Bonnie sad, Spider Geezer. And then we see again right here, Frankie, which by the way, I still can't get used to his new voice. He's getting ready to go ahead and attack And actually, he does damage Saturn. But now we see Kizaru getting ready to get back into action. Indeed, you guys have grown remarkably. And he says, hey, I want to see the growth that you guys have done. But instead of saying to fight, Vegapunk says, no, Atlas, carry Kuma out of here. Bonnie, get out of here. Sanji, Frankie, get out of here. I'm going to go ahead and handle this. Leave this to me. I don't know exactly what power Dr. Vegapunk has. Maybe he's going to use the power of reason and logic with the very unemotional, indifferent, uncaring Saturn, hoping that would work. Maybe, I don't know. Kizaru says right here, with even Kuma here, we've got too many important players, too many people that have seen too many secrets, too many people who have seen Saturn in his natural form. Dr. Vegapunk actually insults Kizaru here. He doesn't call him Kizaru anymore. He calls him Borsalino. And that's to actually go ahead and make him recall all the memories that he has. And Kizaru says, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I am pathetic. Because Borsalino is a Navy dog. And he's going to go ahead and do what is necessary and what is called upon for him to do with the Navy. I should have worn a darker pair of shades to basically really hide his emotions and to show that he has distanced himself from his past, from the old Borsalino that was dancing in that scene with all the other people on Egghead Island, doing the Nika Nika dance, if you will. The Navy got a call from Saturn, and Saturn basically told him, hey, I have no more use for anybody on this island. Anyone who is a threat to the world government is to be dealt with harshly. And we see the Navy put the order out that says this island has been designated as a threat to the world government. We get this last words from Saturn, who actually gave the order of the Buster Call. Concentrate fire and destroy Egghead in its entirety. And of course, Vegapunk can't believe it. Vegapunk can't believe he would actually go ahead and call a Buster Call. Those who have the blood of a race, those who have of the blood of an awakened god. This island is full of inconveniences. And that's where the episode ends. Buster Call has been placed, which is going to be for the next episode. The alarms are going all across Egghead Island, warning of the Buster Call that's going to be coming in. And all the cannons start just hammering the island. And this is going to be the next episode for One Piece, episode 1139. Destroy Egghead. The Buster Call is invoked. So that's pretty much the entire episode right there. The first part of the episode was really another recap of everything, but it was a really good recap because now we see it from the eyes of Bonnie, who's communicating all the thoughts and memories she was able to see from Kuma back to this robot who we all know is her father, but he's there, but he's no longer there anymore. And we saw that loving embrace that they had. And then we get over to Saturn, who has just said, fuck all this shit. I'm just done with it all. We want to erase it. We want all of it gone. We want it done away with. No more blood from the slave race. No more with this awakened god, codenamed Nika, basically Monkey D. Luffy. I want it all gone. Deliver the Buster Call. Overall, I give this episode I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. We're just getting closure, but then towards the end, we actually did start seeing the story advance once more. So hopefully next episode and going forward, it's going to be a lot of advancing of the story. But those are my thoughts on this. What did you guys think about this episode? Did it meet your expectations? Were you expecting a little more? Jump down in the comments and let me know. And remember to like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that good stuff really helps me out. And remember, this is Chris Bolts signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. You take it easy.